Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm back today with another top 10 list. This is the top 10 scams to look out for in Thailand. Scam number one would be the taxi or the meter taxi scam. There's a lot of taxi drivers in Thailand that will try to run without a meter. So if they tell you the meter's broke or they don't turn the meter on, you ask them to turn the meter on. If they refuse or tell you it's broke, then you just move along. You get out, just automatically get out of the taxi and go find another one. There's a million taxis in Thailand. And a lot of times they'll drive around and they'll act like they're lost, and I've had one experience in one of my earlier trips where they just rode around and around, and passing the hotel that I told them to go to. I gave them the address and everything up front, but me being inexperienced and not knowing anything about anything at the time, they just used it to their advantage to rack it up a little bit more for me. It wasn't much more, but it's still, they'll nickel and dime you to death over there. A lot of times they'll try to get you to go for like a flat rate, a flat price. Like you tell them you're going from Bangkok to, say, Pattaya or something. They'll say, well, I'll charge you 2,000 baht. How's that? You know, you want to run the meter no matter what. Just run the meter. If not, find another taxi. Another scam to look out for. Scam number two, I would say, would be like the motorbike rental scam. There's a lot of places that you can rent from over there, and a lot of them, they like to keep your passport. Uh, it's I'd rather give them a copy of my passport instead of the original passport, because who knows, anything can happen. They can lose it, or they can try to pull some scam on you. So another thing they like to do is they'll go ahead and rent you a bike, and say the bike only has a quarter tank of gas in it. You got to go out and get gas, of course, so you can run your bike. And they tell you they want you to come back with the same exact amount of gas that's in the bike, or come back with a full tank. So I've had one incident where I think it had like a half a tank, and I brought it back with a little over a half a tank, and the guy was sitting there fighting and bickering over, I think it was like 50 baht, you know, just going back and forth with me, telling me that I had to return it with a full tank, and that's not what he told me. He told me just return it with whatever gas is in it, you know, if it had a half tank, half tank. So I returned it exactly like they told me to. So I went ahead and just gave him the 50 baht, you know, instead of going back and forth, making a big deal out of it, because you never know who's who over there, and you're the visitor, so I don't want to cause any issues. But I thought it was kind of petty. So you got to be careful where you rent from. One suggestion when it comes to that, I would go ahead and have, if you know a Thai person, I would have a Thai person rent you the bike, because they'll get it at a cheaper rate. And most of the time, the people don't mess with the other Thai people over there because they know what's what. Number three scam, I would say, would be the jet ski scam. I think anyone that's ever been to Thailand's seen or read or came across this scam one time in their life. A lot of times you'll try to rent a jet ski, and they like to try, not all. I mean, I've seen somebody get scammed before, but it's never happened to me per se. But I've had a friend that's got scammed before, where they try to raise the price on them or charge them extra. One way they try to charge extra is they claim that you go over time. Like they'll give you 15 minutes for a set price, and they'll say, you know, you didn't come back on time, and you know, even if you're a minute late, they'll sit there and try to chew you out of another couple 100 baht or something. Uh, some I've heard in some major cases that they've actually tried to claim damage to the jet ski, and then they try to keep your passport hostage, or they try to charge you excessive amount, and then they'll bring out some of their buddies and they'll surround you, or kind of force you to try to pay more or pay for some damages that you didn't create. It's just some scam they're trying to get you. I've actually seen people I've seen some Thais doing that to uh, some foreigners before, and it's not pretty. But I don't know what the outcome of that was, because we were going somewhere else and we were leaving at the time. But you got to be mindful and watch out for those kind of scams. Number four scam. This is kind of a broad. This covers kind of a broad perspective, or broad majority of things over there. But for example, like some food places, they'll tend to jack up the prices on you, or any kind of place that someone takes you to or recommends, you got to watch, because they'll try to scam you some way or somehow. So a lot of taxi drivers or tuk-tuk drivers will try to take you places, and when you go there, they'll try to scam you some kind of way. You got to watch some of the food prices, because some vendors, they have like a Thai price, and then they have a foreign price, where foreigners or tourists pay. So you got to be very mindful of that too, and ask ahead of time. Don't just buy or assume that the price is what it is. Just one example: me and my wife and I visited an aquarium over there, and we went through and paid. And I looked at the prices, and the lady there charged my wife and I both the same rate, and that was the foreigner rate, which was like 100 or 200 baht higher. I forget what it was. And I went back, and she was like, "Oh, I thought your wife was foreigner too." It was that kind of deal. And it's like, she clearly knew that she was Thai also, but if they can get away with it and pocketed a few extra 100 baht every time foreigner goes through, I mean, they're making a little side hustle, good money on the side. Another scam to look out for would be the rental car scam. So what I like to do is go ahead and videotape the car, shoot some video, your phone, whatever you got, and just go around the car and kind of point out all the damage that's there, whatever you see. So later on, if they try to hit you with some damage, extra money for damages or something of that nature, then you can sit there and show them the video, and they won't have much to argue with you about. And it kind of deters them from trying that scam on you. So you beat them, you get ahead of them, and you beat them that way. I've never came across this scam myself. I've heard about it, but as one of my videos showed before, that where we went somewhere, it was in the countryside. I videotaped the car and went around it and kind of pointed out all the damages on tape, so I have it. And I myself would not drive over there inside the city, but if it's countryside or a rural area, I'll drive. If I'm in the city, I'm going to take a taxi or take a SkyTrain. I'm not going to deal with even attempting to drive in the city there. Another scam to look out for would be hotel scams. Hotels seem to do this everywhere in every country, so it's not just Thailand. I don't want anybody to think I'm picking on Thailand here. I'm just telling people some advice on what to look out for, especially if you're a first-time traveler. When I mean hotel scams, I can give you an example of Thailand and in America, where I'm from. You look at a room online, it looks pristine, beautiful, clean, all that kind of jazz. And then when you get there, it's a complete shithole. And I've actually done this in my own country. Uh, I looked at pictures online and it was immaculate. I'm like, wow, what a deal. And then when I got there, I saw the liner of the pool being undone. I've seen pipes hanging down, mold in the bathroom, carpet peeling up, paint, dirt on the walls, insects, dead insects laying around in the room, alive insects. So you got to really do your research, look at the reviews online. You know, another good uh, thing to do is maybe look at Airbnb website. If you're not familiar about it, it's kind of like a website where people have properties they like to rent out, you know, and you can look and read the reviews there too about some properties and maybe get some alternatives or cheaper alternatives, especially during peak seasons when it's hard to find a hotel. But if you do rent a hotel, my advice would be just rent, like say you fly into Bangkok, just rent for one night. In case it is a shithole, then you can move around and find something else. You will find something, even during peak season. It might not be a 4-star hotel, but you'll find something that's better than the shithole that you're in. Another scam that they have in the hotels, I've never came across this either, but I did watch another channel. It was The Good for Long, if anybody's familiar with him. He told a story about him and his girl went to a hotel room and they tried to charge extra money for like the towels being ruined or having lipstick on them and all that. And I think it was his girl, she didn't wear lipstick or something, and you know, it was some big thing with that, but I forget how the story went. But basically, you gotta, same thing with like when you rent a car, just film, do a video on your phone or whatever of what towels, what's there, what's not in the room, how the rooms in the bathroom, everything looks. That way they don't try to charge you some damage fees later on when you check out. Another scam to look into is the airports. They have scams running there, especially with the taxis. It's these guys again. Yes, it is. It's one of the most hated things I hate over there is dealing with taxi drivers. When you get a good one, they're great. And if you're in an area for a while, see if you can somehow obtain him, or you know, maybe pay him day to day and keep him if he's a good one, if he or she's a good taxi driver. See if you can go ahead and keep them on. One of the scams at the airport is, like if you go to the first floor of the airport, I believe it is, the first floor, they have a service where you go to the counter and you pay 50 baht and they hook you up with a taxi, and then the taxi takes you to your destination. If you're with a group, a lot of times they won't scam you, but it's not always the case. I went there one time with my wife and she had a friend with her, and we've had a taxi there try to run without the meter and gave us a bunch of crap, and I basically was trying to get out of the car while it was moving because he didn't want to pull over for shit. And it was just a big fiasco. We went back. We actually went up to the fourth floor, and I think it's a bus drop-off or something, or taxi drop-off. I don't know what it is, but basically they have people being dropped off, and so the taxis, they don't want to go down and wait in line. So some of them will camp out up there and wait for some people to come through, and you just go grab one of those guys, you know. I mean, it's the same crapshoot as anywhere else. They run the meter great. If they don't, get out. So just be aware of those kind of things. The best way, if you can do it, especially on your first time, is if you can arrange a taxi. Like if you're going to stay in Bangkok and the hotel might provide a service where they have taxis, or they'll locate someone that's credible that can pick you up. They'll be waiting there for you at the airport and be holding the sign up or something of that nature. When your flight arrives, you just locate them and they locate you, and you just go on and pay them, and you're to your destination safe and sound and no headaches. One of the scams I kind of hit on it pretty much already, but it's the taxi scams. They don't want to run the meter, get out. I can't stress that enough. Don't waste your time arguing. They'll lie and tell you stuff's broke, etc., etc. Just get out, find another one. Uh, I would personally avoid tuk-tuks unless you're going a very short distance, or you just want to experience it because you never taken a tuk-tuk ride before. Other than that, I wouldn't deal with those guys. It's a bumpy ride. It's hot. Usually it's hot outside, and you're just going to sweat your ass off, and then all the fumes and, carbon dioxide, all the crap you're going to be breathing, and it's just really not worth all the hype. I know they're famous for that over there, but it's okay to ride one just for like short distances, maybe. Maybe you want to go to a store and back to your hotel or something, maybe. But that's about it. Piggybacking off of the taxis, I'm gonna get into like the tuk-tuk scam. Uh, they have this thing where a lot of them they'll try to find out information like what are you into? Like, are you looking for a bar? Do you want to go to this place and get a suit? Do you want to get something to eat? They'll scam you. The way their scams work is they get paid by these certain retailers or vendors to take you to the location. And if you buy something at that location, then they'll get a little payout. So, like I've had them pick me up, and they took me to like a tailor to buy a suit. I was actually looking for a suit, and I didn't know he was, you know, running this on me. But I mean, I actually made out on the deal because I got a good price, and I did get a suit, and I was planning on buying a suit anyway. But I seen him off to the side getting paid by the like one of the tailors or retailers there, the vendors there, I mean. And I was like, what the hell, you know? They basically pay his gas and give him some money in his pocket. Yeah, those guys don't make a lot, so I didn't feel bad. But I actually bought a suit there, and it worked out for me. And it was really good quality, and they actually delivered it to my hotel for me and everything else. So it kind of worked out for me. But some people, they're not even looking for that, or they'll get hustled into that kind of thing. So you got to watch out. And that kind of rolls over into the last scam I have on here. It's like the seafood scam, like the seafood markets. Some of them, they do price changes. They'll list it as one thing, and then they'll change the price on you. The tuk-tuk guys, they'll take you to some of these seafood markets, and then they'll jack up the prices. They'll overprice seafood on you. I mean, if you're by yourself especially, and you don't know what's going on or how stuff works, you can be forced into that corner real quick. So my suggestion would be to do some research and do some reviews on where you're going. Don't let somebody just talk you into it unless you know who that person is or you trust them. Another scam, not to talk bad about police. Most police are okay, but there is some over there that are crooked, just like every other country. It's the international license scam. If you have an international license, you can drive a car over there. I've done it. But you'll have some police officers that will tell you different, and they'll try to get money out of you. That's where that tourist police number will come in handy. You'll definitely want to use that if you come across some situation like that. And now for some little tips. I've covered some of these already, but I'll just go over them here at the end, so in case somebody forgot or doesn't want to go back and look for it. One of my big tips is when you're renting anything, a boat, a bike, a motorcycle, a jet ski, I don't care what it is, a car, video record everything that you rent from top the bottom, head to toe, go around and look at everything. Make sure everything works and record it. My next tip would be read reviews for hotels and rooms. Anything you're looking into renting or staying at, make sure you read a review about it or check with someone. Word of mouth goes a long way when it comes to this. Another tip would be don't give up your passport at all. I've actually given up my passport and it worked out for me. I never had a problem, but you got to be careful when it comes to these things. You know, some of these guys, they really are just looking for just collateral so you don't take their motorcycle, jet ski, whatever, and run off with it, and you know, then they just lose everything. But there's another part of that where some of these guys are just trying to get your passport so they can hold it over your head and try to collect money out of you and claim false damages. So if at all possible, don't give up your passport. You can always offer an alternative, a photocopy of your passport. Also, when you rent something like a motorbike or a car or whatever, I would just go ahead and fill it up all the way to the top. You might lose a few baht, you know, 20, 50 baht or whatever, but you know, the chances are they're going to try to hit you up with some fees and for the gas, and then they're going to say gas costs this much and it don't, and they're going to tell you, well, they got to go get gas now and that costs extra too. And I wouldn't even worry about it. I would just go ahead and top it off myself. That's what I do nowadays. I just give them full tank back no matter what it is. I just take it for what it is. Another tip would be make sure you carry a lot of small currency, because everywhere you go they're going to hit you up. They're going to nickel and dime you to death. I don't care if it's hotels, like people, they're going to want to sit there and insist they get your bags out of the taxi. You're going to have to tip the taxi driver. You're going to have to tip the bag guy from getting your bags out. Then if another guy delivers your bags to the room, you're going to have to tip him, and then you're going to have to tip waitresses, and you know, it's on and on and on. Usually tips are only like 20 baht at a time, or you know, it's whatever you got on you, but they don't really have a system like other countries. But generally I usually just give 20, 40 baht, whatever I got, you know, depending on the service or what they do. But they're going to nickel and dime you, believe me. They're going to hit you everywhere you go. So you might as well have it in your pocket, because if you only got 100 baht, guess what? They're probably not going to have change. And if they do, it ain't going to be what is required to pay you back. And another tip I have is the laundry in the hotels. For the convenience, if you got the money, you don't care, and you want to get it back, whatever, you know, go ahead and pay, you know, the hotels, you know, to do your laundry. But my wife and I, when we go, we like to always, it's a little extra effort. I mean, you got to take your clothes and bag them up and in a backpack or whatever you got, and you just walk outside the hotel, and I can almost guarantee you there's a laundry place within a block away. And you just, especially places like Bangkok and Pattaya, all the tourist areas, Phuket, there's laundry services everywhere, and you're going to pay not even half, maybe even a quarter of what the hotels are going to charge you. So if you want to save a little coin, I would go to these outside services, and they're usually going to do just as good a job. And if you want to get your laundry back faster because they're smaller, you know, maybe throw a few extra baht at them, and they'll produce your laundry before someone else's. They'll bump you up, so to speak. Also, another tip would be take down some numbers that you might need. I got some numbers here. I don't know how up to date or current they are. From when I looked them up, they were pretty current. I got the tourist police. The number is 1155. So if you have any incidents where you need police officer to speak your language, that can help you more. And it would help if you had a tourist police officer. These are usually found in major tourist areas. A general number for emergencies or police, you call 191. If you need an ambulance or someone has an accident that needs an ambulance, call 1554. Another service would be like a fire. If you see a fire, come across anything like that, 199. If you see a medical emergency, you could call this medical emergency number. It's 1669. Another number you can use is a tourist service century. It's like basic questions, I guess you can ask them if you have any questions or things or concerns that you have, and that's 1672. And that's just a few tips to add on the back of all these scams, and maybe some things that might help you out, especially if you're a first-time traveler to Thailand. Basically, you can look and use these tips and analyze these scams basically when you go to other countries too, because these kind of things happen in every country. It's not just Thailand. So I don't want anybody thinking I'm picking on Thailand here, but it's just some of the things I've come across and went through myself and personally, and I've seen other people go through them. Just be aware of your surroundings, do your research, and good luck to you, and have a good time when you visit Thailand, the land of smiles.